So yes, I am in Vegas, and one of the crazy things in Vegas is they have a lot of self-driving vehicles on the road. They are called APTIV, and they're by Lyft. They're BMWs, and they're giving a lot of rides to try to help further this whole self-driving car thing. So one of the things that I'm trying to do while I'm here is actually get a Lyft that is an APTIV. I already agreed to the terms and conditions. There is actually quite a few, so if you are in Vegas and you want to try getting one, you have to make sure that you have a 4.95 passenger rating. So you got to make sure it is higher because they won't take lower rating passengers as it should be. You also can only have 3 passengers in the car at the time. You can't do more than that just because they're doing 2 drivers. So that's a little unique also. Is the fact that they're having two drivers, and I think I'm not sure exactly, but I'm going to look more into it, and that is that they are using one person who's in front of the wheel who needs to take if they need to take over for some reason is right there, and then there's somebody who is maintaining and watching all of the systems on the car itself. I'm not quite sure, but I will find out if I can get a ride. So yeah, that is something that I'm going to be doing. I have taken a few Lyfts already. I'm still here for a few more days, so hopefully we'll be able to get one. So this is just kind of the intro part of it, but I will be talking more about it later. And like I said, if I can get in one, we're gonna show that on this video as well too. That's the miracle of editing. All right, so I'm headed to the Strip right now. I was able to pick up an APTIV Lyft self-driving car, so that's gonna be pretty cool. So I'm gonna record it, what it's like, how it is, and show you guys exactly how it is. All right guys, so I just got the Caesars. I just took the APTIV self-driving car. That was pretty cool. Once I actually get into a little bit quieter space, I'll talk about my experience with it because it was actually pretty cool. So hold on one second. So yeah, I took the APTIV ride while I was in Vegas. I'm not sure why I was calling it APTIV for some reason, but yeah, it's APTIV, just to clarify that. So what I'm going to talk about is just again the requirements, ordering, what I talked about with the guys while we were driving, how a lot of different things are with it, and then just some final thoughts after. So first, again, like I said, in order to be able to get an APTIV ride, you have to be in Vegas, first of all. That's where they are. Secondly, you have to have a 4.95 passenger star rating or higher in order to be able to qualify. You can only have up to 3 people for it, so it's not anything more. It's not like 1 to 4 like a Lyft regular ride. And then also you just need to opt in accepting those terms and conditions. So basically what happens is when you get to Vegas, if you take a Lyft, you'll be able to then get an email from them saying that, hey, we see you're in Vegas. That email that I kind of scrolled through earlier in the video, you get that, and then you hit the acceptance for the terms and conditions for it. And then if there's an APTIV in your area, you can actually select it. So yeah, when you're ready to take a ride, just as you're selecting like a Lyft regular or an XL or a Lyft Lux or whatever it might be, you can select a self-driving vehicle. So if there is one in your area, it's not where if you order a Lyft regular, it'll just pop up and say, hey, there's one in your area, it's the closest, do you want it? No, it's the other way around. So you actually get to choose if you want to take it or not. So that was pretty cool. One of the things that I did realize too is that you can't take it to the airport. So one time when I was about to head to the airport, I just wanted to see if you were able to. So I opened up the Lyft app, put in my hotel to the airport. It wouldn't pop up. Then I changed the destination and location to somewhere on the Strip. So I was picking up from the hotel to go to the Strip, and there pops up the self-driving play spot. So if you wanted to choose self-driving car, so no, you can't take it to the airport. You can't get picked up from the airport because one, it doesn't know you're really in Vegas. So again, it's something that you have to select if you meet those requirements. So it's pretty cool in that aspect. It's just a new tech. But yeah, I couldn't record anything while I was actually in the car, couldn't take pictures or anything, so I can only talk about it. But I did talk to the two people. One was the driver who was focused solely on the road, was on the car. Also, then the second person that was in the passenger seat did all of the checking who the passenger was. So they took care of the Lyft side of things. They took care of anything going on with the vehicle, whether it be maintenance, whether they enter a construction zone, when it went into manual, all that good stuff. So he took notes of everything. So yeah, it was pretty interesting. For the most part, I didn't feel unsafe in any way because, again, there was a driver right there taking care of anything. But it also opened my eyes to see just how far back the technology really is. So this is actually kind of a good thing for all drivers out there. There's so many variables out there that, self-driving cars, yes, they can come out and they will be coming out, but it's going to be a lot longer than a year or two what they're trying to get out. First, it's the variables that the car has to account for. There's so many variables, especially being on the Las Vegas Boulevard Strip, when you're going into like casinos or, turning, or people kind of running a red light, whatever it might be. There's a lot of different variables going on when driving. So one of the big things is when driving in a private lot, so in any of the Vegas casinos, any parking lots or anything like that, it had to be in manual mode, so the driver was in full control of the car. It wasn't self-driving at that point. The only time it was self-driving was when it was actually on the road in public space, and then it was not in control, and it was done in manual during a construction zone. So that was a unique little factor there too. So it just shows you how off it really is. Even though they're doing a lot of tech behind it, there's still a lot of things that need to be done. Also, one of the big things too is the car or the map and the terrain all have to be mapped out by people that go out on the road. So they'll go check the speed limits. They'll check like for how the road is actually versus like GPS, because sometimes they don't actually coincide with each other. So they actually have to go in and map everything first. Stop lights, stop signs, speed bumps, a lot of different things. They have to go in and map it. So it was pretty interesting there also to find out that the car can't just use the radar, the LiDAR, all the different types of sensors to sense everything around. So I'm not going to get too much into that detail because the tech side of things, I kind of understood, but there's a lot of things they couldn't say. So I can't really repeat that either. But if you guys want to check out something that's going to have a really good information for you, the Joe Rogan podcast, if you haven't heard of it, if you have, great. If you haven't, go on to either a podcast, whether it be, iTunes or SoundCloud or whatever, or even YouTube. Go to episode 1292 with Lex Friedman. He's actually an expert on autonomous vehicles, and I think within the first 20 minutes or 25 minutes, he starts talking about autonomous vehicles and talks about kind of the tech behind it with all the different car manufacturers, how Tesla's doing it, which is much different, and then full autonomy versus autopilot, or where there's a driver behind the wheel, and it really dives into the liability issues. So check out that podcast because it was really interesting, and that kind of made me flip my thoughts about how quick self-driving vehicles are actually going to come, and then if self-driving vehicles are going to be the future for Uber and Lyft. It's definitely not going to happen in the foreseeable future. For anybody else that's out there, you probably risk deactivation or just quitting before self-driving vehicles are mainstream and pretty much more prevalent out there than what they are now. So that's kind of the bulk of the ride itself. Now on to my thoughts and the breakdown of it. The reason why I took it was only to make a video on it and to try it and see what it's all about. Also to see where the tech is, at least what I feel it was. Really wasn't there. I mean, it's cool, like I said, yeah, it's autopilot essentially, but there's a lot of variables that it hasn't been able to account with yet. So it's definitely going to be coming, but it's going to be a little bit longer of a time frame than the next couple of years. Also, after listening to the Lex Friedman podcast, talking about the liability issue of full autonomy and full self-driving, which means there's zero driver in the car seat, in the driver's seat. It kind of shows a few different things that probably Uber and Lyft might not want that liability, and that's kind of the reason why I think that you're starting to hear them say that they don't want to get rid of drivers necessarily, because that will be a huge liability thing. Imagine if that car was a full autonomous vehicle and there were a couple people in it and it got into an accident, something majorly bad happened. The liability between everybody that's present could wipe out a huge chunk of change for either Uber or Lyft going full autonomous. So I don't really see that happening, like I said, at least in the foreseeable future, because there are so many variables that it has to account for. But yeah, I don't think it's going to be as close as it is. I think drivers who are out there, you're pretty much safe for the most part. Like I said, you probably risk deactivation or just quitting quicker than self-driving cars come about. But last final thought on this is, if you are driving, if you're worried about anything, always make sure you have other gigs lined up as well too, or working other gigs. Uber and Lyft should not be a primary income source. Yes, you could do it for a little bit, but don't rely on it very long. It's great to be able to make your own schedule. It's great to be able to do a lot of different things that way. But you know what? Don't make it your full income. Go out there, do something else, whether it be part-time job, whether it be a different type of gig, whatever it is. But make sure you have other things going on to make income for yourself, just because you never know what could happen. The big thing in California right now is, are they going to become employees or independent contractors? I'm going to do a good video on that now that I've kind of dived into the information. A little bit more info has come out, so I am going to be talking about that in the next couple of days. But yeah, there's definitely a couple of things you guys want to watch out for, but make sure you have something else going on too. But other than that, yeah, it was a pretty cool thing on the tech side of things. That was the only time I ever took one. They were available in my area when I was driving, but I wanted to go with the actual driver, just because, it keeps them going, gives them money for whatever they might be doing. So I wanted to make sure that I took drivered vehicles, and again, it's just a better way for it, I think. But that's all my opinions, my thoughts. Other than that, it was pretty cool. But yeah, so that's the end of today's video. Hope you guys learned a lot. If you guys have any other questions about the APTIV ride, comment below, let me know. I'll get back to you. But other than that, yeah, it was pretty much like a autopilot. So if you ever drove a Tesla and put it on autopilot, very similar to that. Not too much different, at least in my opinion. But a lot of the sensors and things going on in the background that you couldn't see or couldn't tell, that was definitely adding to a lot more information for it. But other than that, if you guys enjoy this video, you're going to enjoy a lot of other videos that I have coming out. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications so you'll be notified every time a new video is uploaded. Make sure you smash that like button. And again, comment below if you guys had any questions about it, if you've taken an APTIV ride while you were in Vegas, or anything like that. As always, never drink and drive, always tip your drivers, and we'll see you next time.